All right, it's been a while, but I wanted to give you a quick breakdown of how I shot this commercial for the Indy 500.
Every great show starts the same way. A little noise, a little nerves, a little something to prove.
So this was a 2-day shoot, the first day being run and gun, and then the second day was a little bit more produced with a very, very small crew. So for the camera, I chose the Arri Alexa Mini LF, shot on my DZO RLs, and then the DZO Extract Zoom. We use the DJI Focus Pro unit, an Easy Rig, and a Dana Dolly, and then a small amount of grip equipment. So for the first day, this was a run and gun day, and the Indy 500 does not allow you to bring a tripod while you're filming, so this is why I chose the Easy Rig. I was able to run all over the track, get a bunch of shots, change up the focal lengths, and then shoot a ton of different cars. Pretty much my goal here was to just always stay on the shadow side and then get a lot of engaging shots with the cars, which was a little bit harder than I expected because you can't get as close to them as you want to. We did a couple shots on the Easy Rig, and then we did some shots where I would just put my hand on the back of the camera and I would vibrate it, shake the camera really aggressively as the cars drove by. All right, and for the second day, let's break down some of the hero shots from this ad. The main thing I want to touch on is that I used 3 tools that helped me plan this shoot really well with limited resources and limited time. So the first one was CADRidge. This is an iPhone app where you can tell it what camera you're using, what lenses you're going to use, and then what aspect ratio you're going to shoot in, and it gives you almost identical field of view. So after the first day of racing, we walked around the track and then planned out all of our shots with CADRidge. The second one is Sunseeker. Because we were shooting outdoors, we were basically going to be chasing the position of the sun all day, so I wanted to make sure that I was able to put the talent in the best spot relative to the sun. Then the third one, this is something that I learned from the Wandering DP. It's a little bit more advanced than Sunseeker, and it's called 3D Sun Path by Andrew Marsh. And you just go to this website, and then you can look up the coordinates of the area that you're shooting in, tell it what time of the year you're shooting in, because that also affects the sun's path. And then it gives you a 3D map of how the sun would cast shadows on an area that you're shooting in. So then I even rotated the map and I matched it to where the racetrack was in line with this little strip going down the middle here. All right, so let's get into it. We have our wide shot here. And I'm gonna be honest, this one, the location is doing a lot of heavy lifting and the production design. So we have all these leading lines from the location. We have our car that I pushed a little bit further into the background. We have a speaker that I brought a little bit further up from the car, and then I had the talent standing in the center. And we also have this building that's deep into the background. So this is creating a lot of layers of depth. Then the last thing was just choosing the right way to shoot down the track. And because I mapped this out with Sunseeker, our sun is just hitting kind of the back quarter of his face. And then we used a little bit of bounce to try and wrap the light around. Now, we didn't have a ton. A 12 by 12 would have been ideal here, but we just put up a couple 4x4s, which are not really doing a ton, but they're doing enough just to kind of bring him out. Okay, then we moved into the close-up. This is typically what you do. You shoot the wide, and then you move everything in, and you shoot the close-up. So here I did something that some people might consider wrong or a little bit controversial on if you should do this or not. But here we're actually doing a sun sandwich, and a sun sandwich is when you have the sun here, you have your talent in between the sun, and then you put the bounce on the opposite side, and this basically sandwiches him in the light. Now, this usually creates an unrealistic lighting effect, but why it works here is because if you look on the left side of him, we have this white wall, which is like a safety wall for the cars, and it is getting blasted by the sun. It's very bright in the frame. So this looks like it's actually pushing the light back onto his face, and what's putting that light on his face is just a 4x4 floppy that we spent some time pushing in and then taking it back and just getting that level on his face to a good point. And then we added another 4x4 floppy off to the right side, which is our negative fill, which is giving us this nice shadows on his face here. Then we went in for an even closer shot. And this is the exact same setup, didn't even change anything here. All right, so for this one, we have another wide shot, and this one is a good example of just mapping out where the sun's gonna be, then putting your talent in a good position based off where the sun's at, and then using the location to your advantage. So this shot has a lot of depth because we're using a wide angle, and you can see all these leading lines from the racetrack here, the seats. So we have these seats in the foreground, we have him in the middle, and then we have stuff way deep off in the distance. And then the sun is actually setting behind him. So all of the light is coming from behind him and then coming towards the camera. If we would have shot this earlier in the day, the sun would have been off to the right here, and he would have just been getting blasted with the sunlight, and the whole thing would have looked flat. If I wanted to make this look even better, we would have thrown up a bunch of negative fill behind the camera to bring some shadow more towards the side of his face that's on camera side. But you could probably even do this with a little bit of a power grade too. But yeah, this one's really simple. We were kind of running out of time here, and this was one of our last shots. But I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out given our situation. All right, let's get into this last shot, which was everybody's favorite. This did its round on the internet pretty well. So here we have some race cars going down the guitar neck, which then transitions into him pulling away with the guitar and hitting a note. This was a huge part for the video, and this is something that Aiden told me he wanted to do when we hopped on our first call. So for this one, we have the Alexa on a Dana dolly, and then we have the probe lens, and we literally had him hold the bass guitar up to the probe lens, and then we slid the Alexa backwards. Then we had an action cue that we called out of when we wanted him to spin and turn away. And this is probably like my second time ever working with a VFX team. So when they put this shot into the final video, my mind was blown because it looks f***ing sick. All right, that's it for this breakdown. If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.